Welcome to Sales Secrets from the Top 1%, where the world's best sales experts share their secrets to sales success. My name is Brandon Bornancin, a serial salesperson and entrepreneur, and I'm sitting down with the world's best sales experts to share their top secrets to sales success. Hello, and welcome to this episode of Sales Secrets from the Top 1%, where the world's best sales experts share their secrets to sales success. And I am thrilled, honored, humbled, and grateful to have with me today my good friend Stan Robinson Jr. Stan is a sales professional with over 25 years of experience in the sales industry, and he's got over 7 years experience as a LinkedIn trainer, marketer, and expert consultant. Stan is a Harvard and Princeton grad who ran his own LinkedIn and social media consulting firm called SHR Marketing since 2011, before recently joining his friends at Vengreso as their director of training and coaching. He's been called a LinkedIn guru for his ability to leverage LinkedIn, not only for your career, but for creating business opportunities for startups all the way to the Fortune 500. Stan, thank you so much for joining us today. We're thrilled to have you on the show.
Brandon, delighted to be here. Love the introduction. I was trying to take notes on it.
Hey,
so thanks so much.
You're a hard man to introduce. You've accomplished so much, and I'm really excited to dive into your experience. And just to preface the show, so the audience is dying to know two things. Number one, the most important: what is Stan Robinson's top sales secret? Sales secrets from the top 1%, where the world's best sales experts share their secrets to sales success. What is your number one top sales secret to maximize sales success? We're going to get to that here in a little bit. But before that, the audience is dying to know the second thing. Who is Stan Robinson Jr.? Where'd you come from? How'd you get started in sales? I want to know how you got into Harvard and Princeton, because that sounds amazing. I can only imagine the network and what you learned there. When I was reading your profile, I was like, man, I feel like I'm in the Facebook. I was just like, man, this sounds awesome. And, and then where did you go after school, to start in sales? Where did you learn? I obviously know you went to a lot of different places, which is really exciting, all the way from result marketing services to Silver Run to CyberShift to D&B, who's an investor in my company, to solution strategist, to running your own agency. You've done a lot, right? So let's start from the beginning. Stan the man. Tell us, who is Stan the man? Where'd you come from? How did you get started in sales?
Yep, I'll do the short thumbnail version. I was an Army brat, so spent about my first 12 years overseas, between being born in France, and then we moved to California, then to Kinshasa, Zaire, and then to another part of West Africa. So I went to high school on Long Island.
So you served for the United States?
My dad did.
Wow. Well,
so we were based in different.
I appreciate his service. Thank you.
Yep. Thanks.
And you were all over.
Yeah. I was fortunate because I went to high school in just one place, which was New York. My sister went to high school on 3 different continents, and she doesn't recommend it.
Yeah, that sounds stressful. 3 different, not like 3 different cities, 3 different continents.
Yeah. But was fortunate enough to get into Harvard at the time. And it's funny, I got started in sales to help pay for school.
Hold on, was it hard to get into Harvard?
You ask people. It's funny, I'm going to an alumni event tomorrow night.
Yeah.
And the short answer is yes, but when you get into Harvard, you ask all your other classmates, was it hard to get in? It's like, I don't know. They accepted me. So I was blessed in that regard. But
is it really like a step above? Just curious, right? Like Harvard and Princeton, are the people you're surrounded by just like an elite group of people? Because when I was in high school and college, I always dreamed of going to like Harvard or Princeton or Stanford. I studied remote for Stanford, technology entrepreneurship, but that was after my undergrad and MBA. at a D1 school. It wasn't, an elite school like the two that you've attended. Like, I'm just curious because you always feel like when I was reading your background and I've followed you for a while, I felt like I was out of a scene from the Facebook, right? And I'm surrounded by like Mark Zuckerberg and I got Bill Gates over here and then I got this guy. Like, was it like that?
Yeah, on some level, yes. There are definitely a lot of smart people there. And one of the things you learn is that there's a big difference between IQ and emotional intelligence, and that's a whole nother discussion in and of itself.
Wow.
But great environment. I mean, I'd recommend it. I learned a lot more from my classmates than I did in class. And it was great. It was awesome. Now, the thing being that one of this won't be the sales secret, but one of the things I suggest to everyone, because hindsight's always 20/20, is maintain your networks from college, from graduate school, if you do that, from work, because at the end of the day, all opportunities come through people.
Okay.
All opportunities come through people. And
wow.
So even though the saying it's not, it's not what you know, it's who you know, like so many things, that's half right, which makes it kind of dangerous. But who you know, and more importantly, who knows you, is a key to success.
Wow. So, and you said hindsight's 20/20, right? So maintain your network. And the point of this show is to learn all of the really the micro secrets of your whole life experience that helped you, that you got from successes or failures that leveled up to get to where you're at today. So when you say maintain your network as a micro secret to sales, what is that? What does that mean? And how would someone like me or someone in our sales marketing entrepreneurship audience maintain their network?
So I know I'm talking to someone who's already doing that in you, but here's what I mean. And the reason I said hindsight is 20/20 is because that's something that I didn't do a good job of. So if I could talk to myself several decades ago, I would say, Stan, make sure that you stay in touch with the people that you've developed great relationships with, who share the same type of value structure that you do, at least for the most part. Stay in touch with them. Now, it's not so much a matter of what can they do for you, but again, opportunities come through people, and you just never know how things will evolve. So whether it's dropping someone a handwritten Christmas card, whether it's dropping them an email, a text message, these days it can be LinkedIn direct message, just ping people, stay in touch, because you never know. And it's always great to see how people are doing, especially as the years go on and they start to develop families, and some of my peers have grandkids and all this type of thing. It's great to see how people are doing, personally and professionally.
Wow. Yeah. So, staying in touch, and it's funny when you say that, I just realized my alumni, like ever since I launched my company 3-4 years ago, I haven't reached out to any sales leaders at my alumni. Like I haven't gone on LinkedIn, your LinkedIn guru. Right after this call, it's just like, oh my gosh, I got to go on LinkedIn. I got to put sales and reach out to everyone from my alumni that I think in my industries that I could add value to or help from my alumni, because I haven't from OU, from Stanford. That's just probably, those are probably some of the easiest appointments, meetings, opportunities out there.
Exactly. So good point.
So, okay. So that's amazing. And I assume the power of your network now already at the base has got to be pretty high, because the network's highly intelligent. You've got both schools. You don't just have one Ivy League school. You've got two that you can tap into, which is incredible. And then you said you started sales. Tell us a little bit about how did school, I know you studied psychology, and I know you studied psychology at Harvard and then public affairs at Princeton. so you're studying, and then what did that lead to for your sales career?
I started selling books during the summer of my junior year, door to door, with a company called the Southwestern Company. I'm sure.
Yes. Yeah. The Southwestern Company.
Okay.
Yeah. I know exactly who you're talking about.
Yeah.
They sell the encyclopedias, right?
Yeah. The student handbooks. Oh gosh, you bring back memories, because we'd say you can have your Encyclopedia Britannica or World Book, but these complement those.
Okay.
So you're taking me back a lot of years, Brandon.
That's awesome.
But started doing that to help pay for school, because even though I was on financial aid, it still wasn't cheap. So they were selling books, as it turned out, was one of the best ways to help pay for college.
How much would it cost me if you knocked on my door? How much would it cost me to buy a set of books from you?
Anywhere from 40 to $80. Now, keep in mind
that's not bad.
Yeah, that was in $1979. So I don't know how much they cost now.
What do you think it'd be, like a few $100 now?
Maybe double, close to that.
So you're knocking on doors, and you're not asking for like $20 for a new book. You're not asking for the secret sales book that we're shooting for and writing for right now at $20. You're asking for like, hey, I'm going to give you like 10 of those books.
Yeah. So it was a great experience. The company had an awesome training program, because literally we worked together in teams. We went to training for several days in Tennessee. And then when we got to training was when we found out where we would be going. In other words, we didn't know where we would be spending the summer until after we finished the training.
Wow. It was just random, totally random. Yeah. Anywhere in the U.S.?
Carpool. First summer was in New Orleans, and second summer was in Pasadena, California.
Dude, so New Orleans sounds like fun.
It was. This was, it was, long story short. However, since I was working 80 hours a week, I was not hanging out a whole lot.
You were grinding, making money. 80 hours a week as a kid in college.
Yeah.
I don't meet a lot of kids that do that. And before we get into that, what type of commission would you make on these?
It was 40 to 50%, if I'm remembering right.
That's a huge rep. That's awesome. So you guys, they were like, you're highly motivated to make sure you get that deal done.
Yeah. Although it wasn't, for most folks, it wasn't a one-call close, because even back then, someone knocking at your door was a stranger. These days, I don't know how they do it, if they still go door to door. But the trust level was higher back then, because people would still, thumb rides and all that type of thing in today's environment.
Yeah. Well, today's environment, you just get into anyone's car with Uber.
Yeah. So it was a great learning experience, and that's why I mentioned it. It exposed me to the world of sales. It exposed me to the sales profession and helped me to understand that professional salespeople are not what you see on a used car lot, not the stereotypical high pressure, buy now, what do I need to do to get you to buy this today? And it also exposed me to success principle books.
Okay. Like what type of books?
Whether it was The Magic of Thinking Big, that's where I first read How to Win Friends and Influence People, Think and Grow Rich, The Greatest Salesman in the World. Those types of books, which I still go back to and read.
Yeah, me too.
Because I think feeding your mind is one of the most important things that you can do. Not just with information, but also with good food for your mind. That's good for your attitude.
Yeah, I'm going to start listening to cliff notes of like books that I've already read, just to reignite the brain. And I was actually thinking about doing that with those two, Think and Grow Rich and How to Win Friends and Influence People, because it's been a while. I haven't hit it in a minute. What is your favorite sales book?
Oh boy. Interesting enough, probably the greatest salesman in the world, which doesn't talk about sales tactics at all. It's a story.
Yeah.
Um, but it does talk about persistence, which is absolutely critical. And it does talk about looking at things from the buyer's point of view. I'm reading Anthony Iannarino's The Lost Art of Closing now, and he talks about the fact that sales is something that you do for and with people, not to them.
Yeah, he's great. He's on the show and in the book as well. He had a really
Awesome.
good interview.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to reading it. So
yeah, his book just hit. I don't know if you saw that. Eat Their Lunch. It's good. It's really good.
okay, yeah, I know that one is out.
That's awesome. The Greatest Salesman in the World. Yeah, that's a killer read. But you mentioned, and I know we're not moving fast through your career, but this is good stuff. Like when it comes to why were you working 80 hours a week, man? I don't talk to a lot of people that were working 80 hours a week in college, ever.
Now technically you could work any number of hours. I mean, there's some people who worked.
Yeah, because you're a 1099, right? And you sell door to door. You're a contractor. You get paid commission.
Yeah.
You sell it, you get paid. You probably got to ship it in an envelope or something, the cash back.
Yeah, and it's funny. I forgot. Okay, I remember how we managed the cash because literally it was straight commission. We found our own place to live when we went out there, and I look back and say, how in the world did we do this? But I was working 80 hours a week, as were a lot of my colleagues, because that's what it took to get things done. So it was basically 3 blocks of time during the day. You started 8 in the morning and headed home around 9:30 at night, give or take.
You think salespeople still have that type of hustle?
There are some that do. The good news these days is with technology, you can work smarter, but I wouldn't trade that experience for anything.
Yeah. What were some of the biggest things that you learned from that experience, like in sales and in hard work?
If you put your mind to something, you can do just about anything. I mean, I look back now and still don't understand how in the world was I working 80 hours a week, during the summer. But it got done. And if there was a support system and a system in place that maps out, okay, here's how you do things with people that share the same attitude, you can get a whole lot done.
Yeah, I love that.
Those are not sales closing tactics, but that's what I learned.
Well, I think that's a great secret that you learned, there was as super young age, like surround yourself with the right people, with the right mindset that are on the right mission with you.
Yeah, absolutely.
One of the things for me that I've been trying to do is I'm trying to weed out all the people that don't add value or not even add value, but like push me to become my best self and accomplish my mission and purpose in life. And yeah, it's like it seems like it's a recurring theme for you. Like the people around you in your network from Princeton and Stanford help take you to the next level. The people from Southwestern, the book company that you sold door to door, making sure that it's the right people in the right bus. You could only have a certain amount of people in the bus.
Yeah, and with Southwestern is a little bit different in that it was, if someone stuck it out through the summer, they were fine. Whereas when you're running your own company, you've got to be more selective in terms of, okay, who's a fit with the culture? If someone's toxic, they have to go regardless of what else they bring to the table. You have to be able to work with people. And that's one of the great things about working with Vengreso is because we have the same mindset. We're focused on what we need to get done, and we learn a tremendous amount from each other. At least I do. Selfishly speaking, it's been great.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So what's the secret, to closing door to door, like to generating revenue door to door? Does anything stick out?
Building rapport and being totally sold on the value that you have to offer. And that's not much different from high-tech, complex sales when you
No
stop
way.
and think
Yeah,
about it.
it's the exact same thing, man.
Yeah, yeah. So it's the same. You have to build rapport because you're talking to people, and you have to believe that what you offer will help the family in this case. The other thing it taught me was talk to the decision maker, which in most families was the wife.
Yeah.
Regardless of what the husband said, oh, I make the decisions here behind closed doors. It's the wife.
Oh man, that's so true in my life. Probably a lot of other people. And I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. I don't have time. Like, take over, please. I need that. That's awesome. So the DM going door to door selling those books was the wife, and building rapport. You know, we could probably spend an hour on how you do that so quickly in that situation. So were those books that like you were so sold on it that you would even pay out of pocket yourself? Like that's how much you knew was the value of that?
Yeah, they made it such that cash flow wise, without going into a whole lot of detail, we used deposits to actually order the books because it wound up being a fair amount of money. I wasn't the best salesperson there. There were people who literally paid for college and graduate school on book sales. The manager that recruited me is
that's incredible, by the way. Like in a summer, 3 months, boom, 100K school paid for.
Yeah, it's amazing.
That probably had to been one of the best. I think selling door to door or working at a call center, like early on, is one of the best experiences in the world for sales.
Yeah.
Do you agree with that?
I absolutely agree with that because when I went into sales later, to skip a couple steps, I worked in call center and my background in sales was all in inside sales. So I was on the phone every day. So totally agree because you learn that the people saying no doesn't kill you. It's just keep moving, and none of it's personal.
Right. Yeah. And what were you selling?
So at Results Marketing Services, we were essentially doing appointment setting.
Okay, cool.
For companies like Hewlett Packard and some others with hardware manufacturers.
Yeah, right when hardware was blowing up out of probably New Jersey, and New York. Yeah,
and it was essentially it was appointment setting to get reps in the door.
That's so awesome.
At D&B, it was selling lists. At Dun & Bradstreet, it was selling some of their lists. At Ziff Davis, it was selling classified advertising back in the days when Apple II was bigger than Mac.
Yeah.
And so that was a long time ago. And the last position that I had, Minicom, was a digital signage company, and we were selling audio video extension equipment. But again, it was over the phone.
Wow. So all these places. So at Ziff Davis, the classified ads, that was selling the ads for Apple and PC. You were doing that over the phone?
Yeah, and it was for magazines that covered Apple, PC.
Publications.
Yeah, IBM, exactly. Publications like PC Magazine.
PC Mag, yep. Awesome.
Yeah.
And then the hardware companies, and then the, I don't know much about Silver Run Technologies. I know a lot about JD Edwards and, the ERP software leads, but wow. So you were in inside sales, and then as I mentioned, like I know D&B, they're an investor in our company. They love our sales leads data.
Yeah.
I think we're like a emerging player. They gave us, they gave me an apartment and office space in the Amazon building. So Amazon and D&B invested in our business, which was cool. So I spend a lot of time in New Jersey.
Okay.
Probably, I know you've spent a lot of time, like my office space is in their building. The business school, Rutgers. Yeah. So Amazon and Rutgers are in two massive buildings right there. We're in the Amazon building. We get like free lunch, free drinks. And I have an apartment like 1 foot away from the building, which is cool. Don Katz, totally random. Don Katz, Amazon Audible, the founder, he loves sales leads. So him and the DMB founders, they invested in Seamless. Totally crazy.
That is awesome. That's so funny because I'm over there like once every month or two in the Rutgers Business School building right now.
Damn, if I would have literally known that you were out there, I should have gotten together. But we're doing this now virtually. It's all good. So tell me, the audience doesn't care about me. They care about you. Tell me about, you did inside sales at all these different places. The publishing, the hardware, the alliance partners, the ERP software. Walk me through some of the things that you learned at each of these different places that helped you, from your successes or failures, that helped you level up. Like, what are some of those micro secrets?
As mundane as it sounds, stay on a schedule. In other words, and when I was doing it was back in the day before social media. So it wasn't difficult not to get distracted. Today, when you're on LinkedIn, you're following what's going on Twitter, you're doing searches, it's easy to lose track of the main goal, which is to reach out to decision makers. So today, more so than ever, especially someone that's in inside sales, you want to be spending time on the phone reaching out to decision makers because it's so easy to get distracted by everything else going on.
Yeah.
And the one other thing is when you're on the phone, learning to listen for verbal cues. So the good news about the phone is that you can hear someone's voice and you can kind of read what's going on based on voice tone, whether someone's rushed, how they ask questions, etc. One of the downsides of social media is that we're not able to do that when things are in text. So that's a whole nother discussion in and of itself, is the different channels of communication. But
wow. Yeah. I mean, the tonality you're talking about, like analyze the tonality and really try to understand, is this positive sentiment, negative sentiment? Like what exactly do you mean there?
Yeah. So when you're talking to someone on the phone, you can hear whether there's a question kind of behind what they're talking about, and you can try and draw them out. Like you said, tone is a huge part of communication. And that's one of the things that unfortunately we lose with text messages on the phone. And that's why they're the source of so much confusion, is because you can't hear the inflection in someone's voice.
Yeah. Because I love bringing high energy, high excitement, high positivity, and like just purpose. Like I'm going to change your life. I want to change your life. I'm here to change your life. And I believe that this will do that. And that's hard to communicate in an email.
Yeah, you got it.
Or a LinkedIn message.
That's it. And, emojis don't do it. It's just not the same.
No, dude, emojis do not do it. It's not the same.
So, quick side note, even though it's been totally overlooked by most of us, we can leave a voice message now as a LinkedIn direct message. But
I love that.
Myself included are underutilizing it right now.
You know what? I'm going to start using that as well. Right when we get off this, off the podcast and the book interview, I'm going to tell my guys and gals, my people, get on the voicemail. We've just been doing the videos on LinkedIn and the videos in email.
Fantastic.
And, because there's no better way to connect.
Yeah.
Wow. And the schedule, like, what's the best schedule that you've seen work? You've done this for, decades or over a decade in inside sales. The sales development reps are dying to know, like, Stan, okay, schedule's super critical. It's a micro secret from an expert like you who's gone to Harvard, Princeton, and crushed it in inside sales. What's the best schedule to maximize sales?
Find what works for you and what works for the market that you're addressing. So, for example, people that are trying to get a hold of executives, a lot of times early in the morning before their administrative assistant or whatever else the gatekeeper's called is a good time to try and catch high-level decision makers. Or 5 minutes before or 5 minutes after the hour, when they may be in between meetings, they're going from one meeting to the other. That may work for some. Different industries, it may be different. There are some industries where people are super busy early in the morning and their schedule lightens up in the afternoon. So that's something that you need to find out for your own industry and then build your calling schedule around that.
Yeah, that makes sense. Like for me personally, when you talk about fitting in, like I'm a morning person, so I got to wake up early, do my workout in the morning, and then get to work right away.
Yeah.
But maybe other people are in the zone for the inside selling stuff, like early morning or late morning, late afternoon. I don't know.
Yeah. And it has to be built around the schedule of the people that you're trying to reach. That's the key.
Yeah. I never thought about it I always think about it, my schedule.
Yeah.
What works for me. I never really think about the schedule of the prospect. I look at the data on like connections, right? And when do people read emails and when do they look at LinkedIn messages and calls? But I never really tried to customize my day based on that. Maybe I should.
Yeah. So one other quick one now that LinkedIn, and it's had it for a little while, has this active status such that you can see when someone is actually on LinkedIn if they have the little
the green button, the green
dot.
Yeah,
yes.
I love that.
If you send someone a LinkedIn message and they're on there and they answer you back, if it's someone you've been trying to get a hold of, call them.
Yeah.
Call them right then and there.
Great idea. Now, would you send the LinkedIn message and then call them, or would you call them and then send the LinkedIn message?
Normally, the latter.
Like right now, Stan's trying to contact Brandon. You see that I'm on LinkedIn. What do you do?
He'd send you a quick message. Hey, and most people understand active status, so it may not sound too creepy, but hey, is this a good time to talk? And if you don't get an answer back, the person's still active, it never hurts just to try and call if you have the number, of course. But there's so many channels now. Now we have text message, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But one of the things we do talk about is using an omni-channel approach and seeing what works for you, and different people will have different favorite channels. So some may respond to a LinkedIn direct message. Others say, hey, just text me.
Yeah, that makes total sense. And when it comes to, I love omnichannel, by the way, because I come from digital marketing, selling for IBM and Google. That's all we did, like literally omnichannel marketing to acquire customers online. And when I launched my first company for online gambling, we did the same thing. And like, I love that salespeople are now becoming marketers in a way where you got to leverage all the channels. You got to figure out who are the personas, the value propositions, the call to actions, the whole framework. These are things that they teach marketers all day.
Okay.
And now salespeople are leveraging it to maximize sales. It's really exciting.
Yep, very true. Because we talk about the alignment between sales and marketers and marketing all the time. And how salespeople, just like you said, need to learn how to think more like marketers. And marketing also needs to find out what's happening on the front lines from sales.
Yep.
Because marketing can come up with great ideas, but they, most of the time, aren't talking directly to clients like salespeople are.
Yeah. I almost think you need to have more in-person in department transfer, like force marketing to work in sales, force sales to work in marketing.
Yeah.
I mean, like the call to actions and the value propositions and the ads that my salespeople can write for marketing are straight fire.
Yeah.
Yeah. And same with like marketing, pitching, sales. Like, yeah, they don't know how to pitch as well as sales, but they know how to understand the persona and the motivations and the needs and the responsibilities and the goals. Like, it's interesting when you, being the CEO now, having to go from just selling 24/7 to now everything.
Yeah.
You know, like I'm applying sales to drive paid Facebook ads, LinkedIn ads, Google ads, landing pages, sales funnels. And like without the background from sales, I don't think I'd be as effective on the marketing side. It's really interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. It serves you well.
So you've got the tonality, and it sounds like you got to leverage, third secret that you had mentioned is being omnichannel present.
Mm-hmm.
You see a prospect that's available, drop a LinkedIn voicemail, do a video, text. Like the thing that you just taught me was you got to follow the prospect's shoes and be available or working when they're working. So it sounds like, would you say that it's important to communicate with the prospect based on the channels that they leverage the most?
Yeah, based on their preferred channels. Now, we keep talking about omni-channel, so you do want to change it up. But as you said, their preference is the key. Their preference is the key. And because that's going to give you the best odds of connecting with them and connecting with them the way that they want to be communicated with.
Right. Wow. Okay. Awesome. So was it hard to sell a lot over the phone at all these different places?
It's funny because the only outside sales that I really did was before I got into inside sales, which was the door to door. So, each has its more difficult aspects. Inside sales, you're not in front of the person. You don't know to what extent they're multitasking while you're talking to them. You know they are, but it's hard to gauge whether you've got their attention and so forth. But so each has its pluses and minuses. The great thing about being on the phone is that it can be so efficient.
So fast, so efficient.
Yeah. Time efficient because you're not running all over the place. You're just dialing.
Yeah. Do you feel that salespeople and companies still visit? I mean, it almost feels like today everyone's doing business. Like I know I've sold 6-7 figure deals over the phone, not visiting customers.
Yeah.
Is that the norm now in your opinion, in your expert opinion, or do you still have to be face to face? Like, because now you could be face to face. Like, you know me, you follow me. Like, I'm doing a reality TV show on LinkedIn, and I'm live every hour. So it's different because like, although I'm not in front of you, I'm in front of you because I'm doing a video. It's live on LinkedIn. Like, it's a transformation of like old school face to face, but new school. So I'm just curious, do you work, you're a big LinkedIn coach. Like, do you see a lot of sales teams that still have to do a ton of face to face?
No, there it varies. We're definitely moving toward a lot more business being done via video. Zoom calls, just like we're talking now.
Yep.
People are just getting more and more comfortable with that. It is it's a deeper discussion we have time for because part of it is probably generational. In other words, they're baby boomers like me who, particularly if it's a big deal, want to meet just so they have that level of comfort. There are others who are younger who it's like, hey, I've met you. We've been on a Zoom call together. And this is all we need in order to do business because it's so much more efficient than trying to get together in person. So I think it varies based on the decision makers, their preference, the complexity of the sale. and to some extent the size of the sale. Although you said people are selling six-figure deals now using Zoom calls.
Right. I mean, it's crazy. I know I've done it like over and over. Not crazy. I just think it feels like it's I did a face-to-face sales meeting before this call with you, before this video call.
Yeah.
And it was great. And I actually posted a video on LinkedIn of it. I literally recorded an in-person sales pitch conversation.
Whoa.
That was the first time I've done an in-person meeting. I don't know, a year, 2 years. Like, it's been a while. Everything's so virtual for me. For our team, everything's virtual.
So why did this one turn into an in-person? Did you offer a virtual meeting and they said, no, I want to meet you? Or
they were local. So I got lucky because they were local. So local's easy, but just for us in our business, we're high transactional software sales at seamless.ai, the world's best sales lead. So we're not, it's $100 a month, a license right now. Prices are going up. So get in now. But anyone can buy it. So I don't know. It's different than selling like what you sold, the hardware, and it's a multi-million-dollar investment. Now, the mass license deals we travel to, but it's very infrequent.
Yep. Well, that's where it's going.
So, what made you decide to get into? You're a big inside sales expert, and then you transitioned to social expert. Got out of inside sales and into social sales.
Well, the easy answer is downsizing. The last company that I was at downsized. I was one of the ones who was out. And I decided to focus on LinkedIn because I'd started using LinkedIn at that company. So I started on LinkedIn around 2008, give or take. And what I found using LinkedIn, because we had no marketing budget, was that I would do posts on LinkedIn, connect with people on LinkedIn, and then follow up by phone. And they would say, oh, we see you guys everywhere. And it's like, everywhere? We go to one trade show, we do no advertising. The everywhere they saw us was LinkedIn.
Wow.
So I decided to focus on LinkedIn because it's a different animal from the other social networks, since it is a professional network. And I didn't think I could get my arms around the world of social media. In other words, develop some depth of knowledge in Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn. Instagram wasn't around back then. So that's why I chose to focus on LinkedIn. And glad I did.
And what were you doing, when they would say you're everywhere? What were you what does that mean? What were you guys doing? How were you everywhere on LinkedIn?
The only thing that we were doing was we were posting on LinkedIn. And when I say we, it wasn't even a corporate effort. It was basically me and maybe one other person. We're posting and connecting. And we talk about building a know, like, and trust relationship in sales. So what was happening, at least the way I interpret it, is that they would see us on LinkedIn and almost subconsciously get to the point where they felt comfortable and they felt like they knew our name. If I asked them, where did you see us? A lot of them probably couldn't have told us.
They just knew you because you were on LinkedIn and you had that big presence.
Exactly. So that when we did connect over the phone, there was enough familiarity there with them to feel comfortable, like they knew us at some level.
Okay. That's so cool. That's incredible, man. It was it almost turns like cold calling into hot calling, or cold leads into hot leads, because they already know who you are.
Yes.
And it almost removes the pitch out from having to say, hi, this is Stan Robinson. This is who I work for. This is what I do, to hey, it's Stan. Obviously, you know me from LinkedIn. I'm calling because I want to boom. So you could it almost eliminates a little bit of the building rapport and the trust factor building issues, because they already know who you are.
Yep, exactly. So the whole cold calling debate out there and so forth, and people say you shouldn't cold call. I think a lot of it is semantics. People have different definitions of what cold call means. To me, a cold call is what we used to do back in the days where
there was no internet,
and that was it.
Yeah,
we call the receptionist and say, "Who handles IT purchases?" Because that's all we had.
Yeah, there was no LinkedIn, man.
There was no.
Oh my gosh.
So,
without Seamless or LinkedIn or any of the D&B, any of these platforms, I don't know how you guys did it. It's like cold door-to-door sales, like you did at Southwestern.
Yeah. So that to me is a cold call, and today there's no excuse for that, because at minimum, you go to LinkedIn, you go to Google, et cetera, et cetera. So you should know who you want to talk to. You should know what their business pains are before you ever pick up the phone, and it becomes a warm call. But I think the challenge is that some people think of just picking up the phone itself as a cold call, and that it's totally,
that's just a call.
It's just a call.
I agree with you there.
Definitely still need to make calls. We just don't need to make cold calls.
Yeah. Whenever you say cold call, I'm like, the way that you position it and you phrase that, it'd be like someone giving you like a yellow books and you just have to dial down randomly dial down the biggest ads in the yellow books. That's a cold call.
Yes. Exactly.
That's so funny. So, okay. And I know, like, ramping up to your career. So SHR marketing, which you've done for the past 7 years. What was the biggest success, failure, micro secret that you learned there? And then we want to get into your top sales secret. But what was some of the biggest things that you learned to maximize sales from your successes or failures at SHR?
The biggest lesson in terms of things that people would need to change would be developing what we call a sales cadence. And all that means is developing a system of how you're going to generate leads and following that consistently. So whether it's, okay, the people that are prospects for me, I'm going to email them. And then I'm going to follow up in 2 days with a phone call if I don't get an answer to the email. And if I don't get an answer to the voice message, then this is what I'm going to do. So that's one of the things that is a lesson learned from what I could have done better, so that people don't have to repeat that mistake.
What would you do then, like, without the cadence? Was it just like all at random, or like how would you do it without the cadence? Just curious.
Sometimes what people would call random acts of marketing, which could just be, oh, this is a social media post that looks good. It's interesting to me. Let me share it with everyone.
Oh man, I do a lot of that. I do a lot of random acts of sharing. Shoot.
Yeah, well, a lot of us are in that club because it's so easy to do. But that's just one example. Another is not having blocks of time to do certain things. So I'm going to call during this block of time, no social media.
That goes back to your schedule secret, right?
Yeah.
That you learned from the inside sales calling. You got to have that schedule.
You have to have, yeah. And it's funny, I learned this schedule from door-to-door sales.
Wow. And how is your schedule today? Like, what do you do at what times? Curious.
These days, since I spend so much time on LinkedIn, a lot of times I'll start the day there, looking at who's invited me to connect, looking at messages, because those are people that have reached out directly. And since people don't stumble across us by accident on LinkedIn,
right?
When they do that, there's some interest there. Now,
so you think it's like a Google search where, like, literally they were searching for, like, for Seamless, it'd be searching for like sales leads or B2B sales leads or contact info for B2B people. You're saying, like, on LinkedIn, it's very similar to Google search where, like, they were searching for someone or something relative to you, and if they hit your profile, that could be a hot lead.
Yeah, because people have found me on LinkedIn that way. Now, in all fairness, yes, optimizing your profile with keywords is really important because LinkedIn is a search engine. But I'm not going to tell a small business owner, spend a huge amount of time optimizing your profile for keywords because people are searching for your services on LinkedIn. No. If you're a job seeker, absolutely.
Yeah.
You need
because the recruiters are scouring those profiles.
Exactly. So it is important. And that's why at Vengreso, we have professional profile writers that do all the keyword research and make sure that all the right keywords are in your profile. But someone trying to write their profile themselves, yes, they need to be cognizant of keywords, but they don't need to become an SEO expert. Let someone else do that for you. But in reference to what you were asking about, when I say people don't stumble across you by accident, they may find you because someone referred you. And the first thing they do is look you up on Google or LinkedIn. They may have read one of your posts. They say, man, I want to learn more about Brandon. Let's find his LinkedIn profile. Or they may just hit your LinkedIn profile at the bottom of your post. So there are different ways that people will come across you, but they aren't accidental. People got to you for a reason.
They came across you for a reason, and you have to be there. So someone visits my profile. How do you approach them?
If they visit my profile, I'll take a quick minute to look at theirs. And the nice thing about LinkedIn is in less than 30 seconds, you can tell if there's someone you want to connect with.
Yeah, pretty instant. You could probably learn everything about them.
Yeah.
For me, you learn literally everything.
Yeah. So it's great that way. What I do is I send them a quick message. I say, hey, thanks for stopping by my profile. And depending on whether they're a sales leader or they're a student or whatever, that'll determine the rest of the message. But in most cases, I'll say, are you open to connecting?
Wow.
Simple as that, because they did visit. They did visit the profile. Yeah,
that's incredible. That's incredible. So, now that we're kind of caught up with the whole career and your experience and a lot of the micro secrets, let's get down to sales secrets from the top 1%, where the world's best sales experts share their secrets to sales success. Stan, if you had to go back in time and start all over, if you had to hire someone, give them a job, write down one secret to maximize their sales success on the team over there. If you had to write a book, had one page, one secret, and in case this book is 5 pages, one secret, What is your top sales secret?
Get inside of the head of your buyer. Now, I'm biased because LinkedIn helps you do that so much by providing you with business intelligence. But all of us listen to that radio station, WIIFM.
WIIFM.
WIIFM. Everyone in the world listens to it. A lot of people know what it is. It stands for What's in It for Me.
I love that. Hold on. Can you say that again? Everyone's got to listen. Oh, say that again.
So everyone listens to the same radio station. And that radio station is called WIIFM. Now, a lot of people say, and I ask people, have you heard of it? And people's eyes go up and they think, and they say, no, not really. So, well, everyone listens to it. It stands for What's in It for Me.
I love that positioning.
So my number one sales secret would be understanding your buyers and decision makers enough such that you're able to have a conversation around what's in it for them, because that's all they care about. We may be nice people. I think I'm a nice person, but I understand that people don't care about Stan Robinson Jr. They only care about what Stan Robinson Jr. and Vengreso, in my case, can do for them and to help them solve a problem, look better at their job, make more money, save money, reduce risk, depending on what their objectives are.
Wow. I love everyone's listening to the same radio station, WIIFM. It's funny, now that I'm into podcasting, I feel like a radio guy. So weird. I never thought I'd be doing this stuff. What's in it for me? WIIFM. How do I figure that out? How do we figure that out for our core persona? How do we figure out A, what that persona gives a damn about, and B, deliver a solution that meets that need, and then 3, positions it so that they're motivated for change, or they're motivated or interested into even learning more? Like, where do you start, Stan, if you're like, okay, I know, you sell to salespeople and marketers, so do I. Yeah. So we could say it's a VP of sales, VP of marketing, pick one, whatever. It's cold prospect, right? Hot prospect on LinkedIn that you want to sell to. And you sold for HP, right? I believe.
They were one of our clients at one of the companies I work for.
Yeah. So let's just say HP, right? You want to sell to the VP of sales or the VP of marketing over there. You know that they're listening to the same radio station as you, WIIFM. That's, dude, I'm creating an image of that, and I'm gonna post it. I'll make sure to tag you. That's awesome. Where do you start? Like, where do you start with trying to figure out answering that question?
The good news, Brandon, is that a lot of it, since we're in the world of B2B sales, a lot of these decision makers are going to have the same concerns. So if someone is head of sales, most of their sales teams would love to get better at creating more sales conversations with qualified buyers. Now, we're assuming here that the product and service that they offer is good. It offers good value. It's a whole nother discussion.
We'll assume that the product that you're selling is awesome, but it's in a market where there's a lot of competitors. HP's busy trying to hit their stock numbers, that they committed to the streets. It's been on and off with hitting it right now. So where do we go? Where do we go? You and I are on the team. We got to sell to this VP of marketing over there for enterprise, HP enterprise.
Yeah. So now if it's a VP of marketing, I'm going to be talking about the brand. And from my standpoint, I'm going to be talking about LinkedIn and how the company is probably underutilizing the LinkedIn profiles of its staff as part of its branding effort. Because most companies don't think of it that way. But think how excited a marketing manager would be if they got their head around the concept of, the LinkedIn profile of every single person on my marketing and sales team will serve as a mini website to help brand my company, HP or whoever it is, and drive traffic back to my website. And when they post and when they raise their level of visibility, we have a background image that we've created that helps to brand our company. We've helped our sales team and our marketing team create profiles and summaries that, yes, talk about them as professionals, but also help to brand our company. And so that can be tens or hundreds or thousands of mini websites that brand our company, help to drive traffic back to our website, help us create more marketing qualified leads, which in turn into sales qualified leads. So that's the conversation with a marketing person. The conversation with the head of sales would be more around creating more sales conversations. The two tie together. As you said, they work best when they're in alignment.
Yep.
But it would be a slightly different focus because of what each one is most concerned about.
How do you define that? Because a lot of us are inside sales, outside sales. You're a guy that's been doing this for a long time. What's the fastest way to figure out, you knew instantly what the VP of marketing wants to hear and see. You knew instantly what the revenue person needs to hear and see, the revenue officer, VP of sales, where would these salespeople go to figure out like what to even try to communicate to them?
Yeah, part of it is if you're talking to someone in sales, 9 times out of 10, they're having a challenge generating enough sales conversations. Their team is. So a lot of times that's a great starting point because it's a common problem. The reason I mentioned branding in reference to the marketing folks is because normally that's an area of focus for them. Now, if they've just undergone a massive multi-million-dollar rebranding campaign for the company, well, I'm not going to lead with that in the conversation. But marketing people tend to be interested in branding as a general issue. Sales leaders tend to be interested in, I've got this great product, but one of the things that's stopping us is not enough qualified decision makers are hearing about it. How do we increase the number of those conversations? So those are high level, and then you can get into more depth by looking at someone's LinkedIn profile and by looking at things like their annual reports and seeing what the president talked about last year in terms of their corporate goals. Because if you can find something like that, yeah, you can tie that into a conversation.
Yeah, that's really good. It's funny. I used to do that all the time when I was selling enterprise. You don't hear a lot of people looking at the 10Ks anymore. You know, I mean, that's a gold mine because I know the reports and the investor letters that I put together, they are about as detailed and strategic as you can possibly imagine. 1-year outlook, 3-year outlook, 5-year outlook, 10-look outlook, challenges, risks. Those 10K reports are gold mine, like risks, like, you know, because as investors, you have to disclose all the risks to all the investors and the shareholders all the time. Biggest problems and challenges and risks, because if you're caught not trying to disclose something that's a risk, you're in trouble with a lot of different regulators, SEC for sure. I think the 10K is definitely an underutilized opportunity of intelligence.
Yeah.
And then you said, like, obviously just being in the role, but what are some of your other LinkedIn too, right? What are some other ways? Like the company intelligence seems really easy, but like if you wanted to dive deep into the contact intelligence so that you could define your statements, your what's in it for me statements. And maybe let's switch to that. When you're writing, so you figure out what the contact in the company's looking for. How do you write in your pitch? The best way to write your pitch for the what's in it, to answer what's in it for me.
Yeah, and then we get into messaging and email. And it's funny, a tool like a crystal nose, which some people have run across, it can give you kind of a sense of the personality, whether you need to get right down to business in an email or whether you can lead with something like, hey, Happy New Year to you. As far as the tone of the message, in terms of the content, the subject line, of course, needs to read like an advertising headline. It needs to capture their attention, ideally by talking about something that's A, very personal to them, or B, a problem that you know that they're trying to solve. Now, it may be a generic problem, like more sales conversations, or it could be something like you mentioned, you found it in the 10K and say, hey, I noticed that your CEO was talking about XYZ. I have some ideas to help you in those areas, and putting that in the subject line. And then getting right into it. And in terms of talking about, we deal with these types of companies in your industry, and we find that a lot of them have this type of issue. If you're looking for solutions to this type of issue, we should talk. So the message is simply to take them to the next step, which ideally is a phone call. Because email is wonderful for certain things, but you want it to get you to a phone call as opposed to trying to get them to make a decision based on the email.
Yeah, So your recommendation is you have to sell them and connect with them on that subject line for them to read your message.
Absolutely.
And then when you're in the message, what have you seen to work the best for when you're in that message?
Talk to the pain point that you can help them solve. And the call to action is, let's set up a call to talk further. The idea isn't to try and explain how you solve the pain point that you brought up. It's a lot of clients that we talk to have no unified LinkedIn strategy. We found that barely 50% of sales professionals make quota, and your team may or may not be facing that. But I'd love to share some ideas with you on how our clients have been able to generate more sales conversations, which of course means that more of their sales team is making quota and everyone's happy. And are you available next Monday at 9, the following Monday at 12, or the following Monday at 4? Or if it's easier, here's a link to my calendar. Pick a time that's convenient for you.
That's awesome. Yeah, I love that, how the importance of the subject line and then the importance of that message aligned with what's in it for me. That's the secret. You have to answer what is in it for me. Everyone is tuned in to the same radio station, WIIFM. I love that. I mean, you have no idea how now everywhere I go, I'm going to drop that line. My team's going to hate that because I'm going to say it like 10,000 times.
Okay. In that case, don't tell them it came from me. You can say,
man.
You can claim it. You can say,
it is so good. That's going to be the headline of this chapter, like the chapter title. Wow, I love that. And just always remembering that your persona, like a lot of this whole conversation you've been telling me and telling the audience, like you work your calendar and your schedule based on the persona. Your solution has to be aligned with what the persona cares about. You got to do what's in it for the persona. Sell based on what's in it for the persona and focus on the persona and their needs and their goals and their wants and helping them get from here to there. And it's a brilliant secret. And how have you, Stan, remembered not to forget this, to answer this secret in every aspect of everything you do in sales?
It is a daily effort. In other words, it's not a set it and forget it. Okay, I've got this now, and this is what I'm doing every time. It's I still have a sales cadence on my desktop that I refer back to, that one of my colleagues, Vivica von Rosen, put together. And even though I do it every day, I still go back and look at it. So I'm a work in progress.
Now, is that like a script or is that like a
bullet points
schedule? Okay, bullet points.
Yeah, it's bullet points.
Like talking points.
Yeah, exactly. So
I'm just curious. Like, go ahead, throw some out real quick.
So in my case, I'm really talking about a LinkedIn cadence, which we started to get into when we were talking about scheduling. So first thing in the morning on LinkedIn, I'm checking for messages. I'm looking at who's invited me to connect. Maybe midday, I'll engage with some posts. If some of my colleagues have posted some things, we support each other's posts. So we'll comment on each other's posts, like posts, which helps to boost them. I'll do some posts of my own. And then maybe at the end of the day, do some things in terms of looking at notifications. LinkedIn's wonderful about letting you know who's changed jobs, who's gotten a promotion, whose birthday, etc., and dropping a note to some of those. And using a tool like Auto Text Expander.
I love that tool. By the way, I have one of my team members researching alternatives just because it's super old school. I've got a new one for you. I'll DM it to you.
Okay, thank you. Awesome.
Because like I need a folder structure and it's missing that, and like there's no organization. Like, yeah. I mean, I would build my own if I didn't have 17 things that were already in motion building for our search engine, our email finder, a phone finder. Like, I got too much stuff on the roadmap right now. But yeah, dude, that's great point.
Yeah. So, so that's the thing that, I mean, when I talk about cadence and kind of bullet points that I keep in front of me. So it's funny, some of the things that I'm working on as we speak are more along the lines of what you mentioned, which is like a script for certain types of conversations.
Yeah, the different talk tracks and plays.
Exactly.
And yeah.
Exactly.
That makes sense. Wow, this is amazing. So you got to listen to the radio station. Everyone's on it. WIIFM. You got to get in the head of the persona. Everyone's listening to the same thing. You have to answer what's in it for me. You shared with us how we could identify what prospects and personas care about, where to get that data, and then how to address it, with the writing the subject lines like an advertiser, writing the email, calling, social selling content, video content, voicemail content like an advertiser, like you're trying to connect with these people and lock it in. And also the last piece of this secret, don't use multi call to actions. You weren't trying to book a demo while trying to sell, while trying to get a referral.
Yeah.
So you can't ask for 3 call to actions for like prospects won't be able to focus on that. It sounds like, after you've got the subject down, the content for your sales pitch down, keep it to 1 call to action and make it stupid simple.
Yeah.
Whether it's like, these are all the availability times, or you could book a time with me here. And then your cadence, it sounds like they don't get back to you. You're going to follow up with them a lot.
Exactly.
How do you, and I was going to let you go, but real quick, last question. How do you follow up delivering value to answer what's in it for me? It's a great question that I'm trying to figure out. All the salespeople, marketers, entrepreneurs, like, all right, I send you this a badass sales LinkedIn message that's totally personalized, amazing subject line, personalized, value-driven to answer what's in it for me. The content of the email, you spent 30 minutes putting this thing together to make sure it was perfect for the VP of marketing or VP of sales at HP Enterprise. Yeah. Now you're on to step 2 through 10. And your heart's broken because you already invested a ton of time and effort into doing just that, right? Prospects need to really appreciate when that happens more because it takes a lot of work and energy. But you're on step 2. They didn't get back to you. 4 or 5, 7 days go by. What do you do to answer what's in it for me with your follow-up?
There are a couple of things because there are different ways to engage and raise your level of visibility and get on someone's radar. So if someone is semi-active on LinkedIn, give you an example, you can comment on something that they've shared. You can tag or @mention them in something that's relevant. It's got to be relevant.
I love that. I never thought of like tagging a prospect to something that's relevant to them because they'll get the alert.
Yeah, and if it's something that it's a discussion they could contribute to and say, hey, I'd love to get your input on this idea because I know this is an area of your expertise. So that's one. A lot of people. Some people are more active on Twitter than they are on LinkedIn. So as much time as I spend on LinkedIn, I also tell people, hey, when you're looking at someone's LinkedIn profile, see if they've included their Twitter handle in the contact info, because they may be more active on Twitter. They may be easier to follow on Twitter. And then you can do the same thing. You can engage with their content on Twitter, which raises your level of visibility.
Wow.
And then it's easier when you reach out to them again. It's like, oh, okay, I know this guy. I know Brandon. He's shared my content. He's commented. Yeah, I need to talk to him.
I love that. A lot of different secrets just to follow up with value to stay on top of mind and answer what's in it for me. So that way, when you do, again, call, email, social touch, it sounds like you're just using this omnichannel approach. You keep trying to deliver value to answer what's in it for me. I always find that the easiest way for me to answer what's in it for me is like taking them from point A to point B, from where they're at to where they want to go. Like, is that typically what you think is what's in it for me, how to address that?
Yeah, and there has to be some agreement on where they want to go. So I know
some indicator, right? Like if I post like I want to get to 5% body fat on LinkedIn, and you sell weight supplements or a workout training,
you got it.
You've got my pain point. I want to go from 10 to 5% body fat. So if you reach out to me, you know that. Now I'm easy because I'm super loud publicly, but like maybe you're talking to a prospect where you have no idea, but you can make those assumptions based on the data that you have about the company and their role.
Yeah, exactly. And the what's in it for me, because you brought up an interesting point. Most of the time, it's going to be solving a professional, a business problem. But if they do post something personal, if you can provide value to help them, lose weight, solve a financial problem, find a great restaurant to take their fiance to dinner at, awesome. Because it helps build the relationship.
Yeah, that makes total sense. I'm taking notes on my phone while we're talking. I mean, I've got to leverage all these different channels. Like I'm not tagging prospects. I'm sharing a lot of stuff, but not too much. This was incredible. Stan, wow. Get into the head of the persona. Everyone listens to the same radio station, WIIFM. Welcome to the show. You got to answer what's in it for me. And we went over all the secrets on how to do that. Thank you so much for joining us today. I know you and I could probably talk about this stuff for hours. Where can people, but we got to wrap up. Where can people follow, connect, subscribe to you for more information, even though I know the answer, but where can they do that?
Yep. Well, as you said, LinkedIn. I'm Stan Robinson on LinkedIn, also at Stan Robinson on Twitter. Those are the easiest. Definitely check out Vengreso's page. You can find me on there as well on the list. And Brandon, this has been awesome. Really appreciate this conversation because I learned a lot too.
Yeah, man. I really appreciate you opening up about all the different secrets that you've learned throughout your career from your successes and failures. And I'm going to get a poster made about this. Everybody's listening to the radio station. I absolutely love it. And for the audience, thank you for tuning into this episode of Sales Secrets from the Top 1%, where the world's best sales experts share their secrets to sales success. Order your copy of the book at secretsalesbook.com. Secretsalesbook.com. One last time, secretsalesbook.com. Thank you for tuning into this episode of Sales Secrets from the Top 1%. We release new episodes every Monday and Thursday, so make sure you subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube to never miss an episode.